Thank you for your attention. I am looking forward to our discussion.
Well,
Tons of them.
my
Yeah.
first question is, was the term apostasy really used to just attack one's enemies who they disagreed on certain aspects of religion, like we were talking about heresies?
Right, early on, yes.
So it becomes confusing for a secular person to observe what's really going on. Are these people really leaving the religion, or do they have a disagreement about their own religion, that they see it a different way, and therefore they're being attacked because of the disagreement?
In the early church, yeah, this is exactly what happened. They would all accuse each other of apostasy or heresy, whatever they felt like, because the doctrine had not yet crystallized. So there was like huge disagreement, and they were throwing, you know, like terms of opprobrium back and forth to each other.
But in the modern day, when someone says, or when someone is accused of apostasy, do they really, is the term accurate, meaning that they actually have left the religion?
Yeah, I can't be sure of every religion, but yeah, go ahead, Reese.
Because of course I was taking what you were saying and doing some other reading on it. I found 2 religious websites, one from the apologetics, you know.
Right, yeah.
Anyways, they go through, one of them, and I have it called up right now, goes through a whole list of how to identify apostates. And apparently, the high level of non-believers is one of the harbingers of the second coming of Christ. So I'm not quite sure why they don't want a bunch of apostates, because wouldn't that get Jesus here sooner? But anyways.
Yeah, I know, that's a laugh, isn't it?
Right, I don't get that. But
Yeah.
anyways, no, there was like this whole list of how do I, in fact they named, and I was waiting for you to mention the book, but I don't think you did, Daniel Dennett's book with another co-author on 5 priests that, or 5 clergy that were atheists while being clergy. They'd fallen out of the
Dennett's book?
Dennis Dennett, the atheist
Yeah,
author.
yeah, I know
Yeah.
him, yeah,
Yeah,
I've read a
well,
lot of his things.
Daniel
I'm not familiar
Daniel
with
Dennett,
that.
he has a
Yeah,
book.
I'm not familiar with
Well,
that.
I wasn't either, and I saw that, and I was like,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's, I mean,
interesting.
basically that's a definition
Yeah.
of apostate, right?
Well, it's leaving the faith,
Publicly.
whatever faith you belong to.
Well, and this was talking about secret apostates and
That's-
how
Oh.
to ferret them out.
Oh, okay.
And how they were destroying, you know, all this stuff. So I mean, clearly, I guess my point is, in an answer to your question, clearly it is a serious preoccupation, because I found more websites, but I only had time to really look at 2. And I mean, this was they mentioned Luke, Jude. Jude, they talked about Jude being the definer of apostasy in the Bible. It was he that laid
Well,
out
not
the.
really, no.
I'm telling you what I read.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not stating a position.
Yeah, I don't know what you're reading, though. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he outlined the position of what the 3, how Jude's definition of it. I mean, you know, I don't want to
Well, I
spend
found it
another
very
hour.
strange, and I'll tell you why, because, you know, when I was going over all these, and I've, you know, consulted Oropesa and, you know, Christian theologians, you know, they didn't really mention that much.
Well, I suspect they're digging.
Yeah, I kind of
I
think
suspect they're kind of trying to find a way to say. But this one actually gave a list of the primary apostate, or the things that are bad. That if you don't believe this, you are a complete apostate. If you don't believe this, or if you deny this, you are they didn't use the word semi-apostate, but they had like 5 levels of apostate.
I don't think that that's really quite correct. I think
Well,
what
I think
what
it's all
it really
crazy.
means in its, you know, in its real form is, you know, leaving, you know, the religion altogether, whichever religion
But
it
it doesn't
is.
necessarily mean becoming an atheist.
No,
No.
no, you might be a Christian. Go. You wanted to say something, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about the different levels. Myself, I've dipped my toes in the warm water of many religions before they poured the cement into the bucket and I put in there.
You got it out, right?
But was there one from multi-apostate, poly-apostate? What's the word when you've left all of them one at a time?
But you didn't
over and
believe them,
over?
did you?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there was inspiration here.
Well, I can imagine what he's
You know,
saying.
you
Somebody
have-
who was looking. We have a lot of seekers out there.
That,
Yeah.
but that is
So
not,
maybe they rejected
you're
one
not an
religion, adopted
apostate
another, rejected.
But that doesn't make you an apostate.
No,
In
an
other words, I have to
apostate is
join
a
the religion,
person who
say I believe in the. Okay, I'm sorry. Jim, go
challenges
ahead.
the religion, completely rejects it, criticizes it, steps out and already stepped out in public and is criticizing back at it, and goes away.
Yeah.
So
That's
how many times
apostate.
could someone do that practically in their lives?
I suppose you
You're
could
not
do
gonna
it
be
any amount of time
like
because, you know,
Elizabeth
you
Taylor.
can join. Yeah,
Right.
Elizabeth Taylor is a good
Well, but
one.
here's the thing,
A
it's
lot of
like they
people will
say,
go through 4 or 5 religions.
I don't think so.
it's like that line
think
in
there are people-
Amazing Grace, the hour I first believed. I mean, that's
I
the
don't
thing,
remember that line.
like doing drugs, the first hit is awesome. And after a while, you're kind of lukewarm in the whole thing. If you can just get that high again,
Yeah, that's
switch
it.
to another
Yeah,
drug.
that's it, that's
And
it.
so, the question is, did you really believe? Well, my gosh, it made me feel so good.
Yeah.
It had to be true,
Yeah.
because that's the definition of truth. It made me feel
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I feel great.
So it's got to be. But a comment is that I've found over is that the most important asset that any church has is a body of believers. And if you threaten that asset, you
Sure.
threaten the survival of the church.
Sure,
That's it.
And because causing a population to persist in magical, irrational beliefs is a real delicate balancing act. I mean, your preachers have crisis of faith.
sure.
I mean, in which case you don't let them talk to the people, because that could really destroy everything. So when I looked at these punishments for apostasy, along with saying their most important policy asset is their people that believe,
Sure,
then apostasy punishment is no more than a membership retention policy.
yeah.
And the
Yeah, that's a
most,
good point, yeah.
the most effective ones are the most severe ones.
Sure.
And it makes you wonder, is Islam the fastest growing religion or just the slowest shrinking? Because,
That's a nice.
I think it's
You-
growing pretty quickly, that's frightening.
yeah, but you
And it's
can't
very,
leave
as
it,
they
so.
say,
Right.
it's
So
it's
it's
very
gonna
easy
stay.
to get in. You only have to accept a few certain things, you know, and it's very, very hard to get out.
And when you talk about the policy that they're saying, well, we polled all these Muslims and they said, yes, we should be very, well, with that kind of a membership retention policy, and you don't really know who's asking you this question, I just wonder what their true heart, if this is really true.
Yeah.
Because is it just the government finding out if I'm one?
Yeah.
And so you just
Sure.
take the party line?
Well, yeah,
Because I
Christians
can't-
do that too in this country. I
Yeah.
mean, it's well known by sociologists that when you say, yes, I believe in God, or yes, I'm a good Christian of whatever sort, you're saying I'm a good citizen, you can trust me,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah. You know, you don't really necessarily really believe, but you're not gonna admit even to the poll taker that you don't. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
tricky. How do you find out how many there are? I think people are answering more honestly in the United States now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the recent polls? I mean, people are falling away from religion like mad. There's like one
made my
survey after
point.
the other.
You're welcome.
Say what you said a minute ago. Say what you just said when you answered your question.
About the
Silent
slowest
religion.
shrinking, or just?
No,
the
what you started out with.
Oh, that the most important asset that the
Is
church
history.
has is people who believe.
Which, I'm gonna go back, I mean, I don't disagree with your definitions or whatever, but one of the things from this stupid book club he and I are in, and some of these books we keep reading, regardless of how we define it, or correctly define it,
Yeah,
based
it's-
on,
Yeah, I was
definite,
trying to do this
absolutely,
properly.
but what's, I think, more important, if you're trying to combat or fight something, know your enemy, right?
Oh, of course.
So their definition, and I'm looking, apostasy means to fall away from the truth.
Yeah,
Well, okay, so now they get to define the truth,
of course.
and then they get to tell you, but I mean, they don't, to them, it's not, we rejected Christianity. I mean, they're very specifically defining apostasy as if you do not agree that in the Trinity, you are an
Oh, yeah.
apostate.
Well, that's.
Which isn't the same.
No, it really isn't the
Is
same
what you
because
just described.
actually what they are is heretics.
Yeah.
That's a
And
heresy.
I'm not
That's a
arguing,
heretic.
what I'm arguing that you might be doing the academic correct
Yeah.
version, but
Yeah.
they are doing the propaganda, let's
Well,
twist definitions
But,
versions
you know,
of how to.
but I mean, we're engaged here in a more academic
Analysis.
study.
But it wasn't the purpose
Or-
of the academic study to understand the problem of apostasy, or
Certainly,
if there's a current?
certainly it is, but, we're not interested in what some hokey
It's an
people say
epithet.
on some
It's just
website.
calling someone a name at that point
Yeah.
because you don't like them.
Yeah.
You're saying, oh, you're an apostate, or
Yeah.
you're an atheist. Even
Or
though
you
you're-
don't believe in the Trinity, you're an apostate. Not really, because
Yeah.
if you still believe
If
in
the
God and
person
accept
still
Christianity,
believes in
you're a
God.
heretic.
Still believes in the tenets of the organization, the church,
Mhm.
but said this is the one tenet that I can't agree with,
They're a heretic,
they're a heretic.
yeah.
Yeah.
An apostate is stepping outside the whole organization and really complaining about it.
Yeah.
But within the religion, they use that word as a label to hurt people.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, you're an
Mhm.
apostate.
Yeah,
They're using it in a way that's
Yeah.
punishing, just like,
but they can use anything.
they
I
could,
mean,
yeah,
you
you're
know,
a bastard.
Yeah,
Well, I used to hear this about myself, I study various religions.
what, that you were an apostate?
The statement would go like this: God bless him, he's a seeker. And now,
Oh, yeah,
to me, what was seeker really meant, it was like this underhanded stab saying, God bless him, he's lost.
yeah.
That's what a seeker is,
Yeah.
someone who's
A lost soul, yeah.
And they were saying it in such a, just a loving, but it was just such a,
So how did that make you feel?
gosh, you guys is belittled and like, and then I just look at them and go, I think you're lost too.
But they don't
You
think
know.
that they
Well,
are.
they don't see themselves.
I've been called that,
No.
especially by the New Age people.
Yeah.
And they kind of
Yeah.
mean it as a half compliment or a half negative, like, oh, you're a
At least
seeker.
you're
No,
looking.
I'm not a fucking
Which is-
seeker.
Which is why atheism, and the word atheist, I think, is appropriate, because it does send the message, no, we're not seeking, or
No.
we're not questioning, we've
We're
already
not- Yeah, we know,
gone through that.
or
Yeah.
we
We've,
think
we've
we
already
yeah.
not found what we were looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and we are now,
Whereas agnostic is
Very
sort of
good.
leaving it open and saying, well, I don't have some information that I need
yeah,
to make a decision, maybe
Yeah.
you have that information and you can give it to me.
yeah, please, yeah, that's what's wrong with saying you're an agnostic.
Oh, yeah, because
That's
they'll
how I feel.
always start telling you their policy.
They're ready for
and
it,
and
they
you're-
are
and
ready,
I know the
they are ready
doctrine,
for a
really,
convert.
I know the doctrine as well as you do and maybe better, so.
I just
Telling
don't
it
think
to
in
me
the West
again.
apostasy, it's serious for Christians and theologians, but it isn't really that serious an issue anymore because there's not any big punishment.
You didn't mention excommunication or any other equivalent to
No,
that. or what
because
I-
that's when, excuse me, that's when they throw you out.
Yeah,
You
so
don't
I would
say, I'm
that's
leaving.
involuntary apostasy.
Yeah,
So is that, wouldn't that though be the consequence at some point in history where the Catholic Church would find out that, you no longer accepted this doctrine? Wouldn't they kick you out?
yeah, it would depend, but yeah, they still excommunicate, but
Well,
barely anymore.
Arius, or
Pardon?
Arius, or whatever that dude's name was, he's the one that was the precursor to the Nicene,
Oh, but that's a long time ago.
Oh,
That
I
was the
know.
Arian heresy.
right.
Yeah.
Well, you say heresy, I mean, but he was denying the Trinity and doing other stuff.
Well, he wasn't, he was like, yeah, kind of denying the fact that Jesus, he thought that Jesus was not really equal to God, that God had somehow created Jesus. It gets so specific.
But after.
Oh, it's
he was-
horrible.
you said
Athanasius and those
excommunicated,
guys.
After,
won. Yeah.
after he was challenged and after they said, no, you're wrong, and they did it, he was excommunicated.
He was.
Yeah.
That's my, he did not consider himself an apostate.
No,
I
no,
think-
but the odd thing is that, he went into exile and his followers, but when Constantine actually sided with Athanasius and the others at the Nicene Council, but the weird thing is that on his deathbed, he had an Arian, like do the last rites. Now that is really strange, unless it was political, and that went back and forth, by the way, like the Arians and that Nicene didn't really settle it.
Right, no, I know all
It went
that,
on
you
forever.
just asked about excommunication, and I was just, that was the only example I
Yeah.
could think of.
Yeah.
He was considered an apostate.
Well, there were a
he-
lot of people that were excommunicated. In my last lecture, there was excommunication going on in the 1950s and stuff.
I did listen to that
Yeah.
online.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Great.
Well, then you know that there were excommunications. There hardly are any now. But they still silence a lot of their clerics and what have you.
Oh, clerics, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the
They
nuns.
will silence them. They'll get a
I know
letter.
when you were, oh, sorry.
Oh,
I
sorry,
guess
go
they
ahead.
really don't, a lot of them don't wanna leave.
You had mentioned a point where some apostates cannot return or something, like once you leave, you can't come back.
Well, I think that the
And
thing is that you're not gonna be forgiven. You're probably, oh, maybe you're
Yeah,
talking
like
about the
it's
Donatists. They were crazy for martyrdom, so they
Yeah.
didn't like anybody, they didn't want anybody brought back into the church. That, and they really didn't wanna like take communion from a priest that had recanted.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, is
They really
I
held
think
the
they all
line.
have a crisis of faith, and the reason they have a crisis of faith is because it takes a lot of work to maintain delusion.
Sure.
And it's with reality all
Yeah.
around you,
Yeah.
you have to keep looking at things and adding a layer of, gee, this thing happened, Jesus made that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I dropped it hit the ground. Thank God Jesus made it hit the ground. My
Yeah.
favorite prayer that and I hear it so often when people are saying grace, Jesus, we just pray that this food will nourish us.
Yeah.
Nourish us.
Yeah, right.
And
You better look at the
So-
nutritional charts.
I know I was in at a service once, and the preacher was talking about his crisis of faith. He had a point where he said the first thing the lead pastor did was say, "We can't have you in front of people anymore." Obviously,
It's a good
because
point.
it's a delicate system.
Well, sure, you're
and,
also-
and
yeah,
if he
you're-
said, "Geez, I just don't believe this," I mean, like if Mother Teresa, who claimed in her book, I've felt 50 years I've had trouble finding God. I mean, so if she was to say that every day. So if they're all having crises of faith, and there's some system that says if you doubt for a moment, you're out for good. I mean, and then you mentioned a grace period after that. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you can now believe, but we'll lock. I think it was in Islam. We'll lock you in a
Islam is
room.
well, yeah,
give you a
because I
grace
mean,
period,
obviously, it's kind of scary if you tell people
Sure.
you're gonna be put to death. So they give you a.
Think about what you did.
Do they really believe them when they say, "Oh yeah, you're right. I believe it"?
I don't know if they put me in a room, I'd probably
I'd be
after
like, yeah,
about
okay.
24 hours, I'd say, all right,
Anything
to be
you want to hear.
right, back to Islam.
But now you're
you know.
locked into the apostate
And what would you? I
problem.
mean, I would not want to die. I mean, because I didn't believe in this stupid faith. I'd probably try to figure out how to get out of
Right.
that country.
Yeah.
Yes. Now give me a passport. So long. It's a horrible thing to live under. I can't imagine it.
Well,
That's
give me
what
a passport so I
Christianity
can go
was like
spread the
at one
word.
time.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna be a missionary.
So
to
that's
get the
right.
hell out
I
of
mean,
here.
it's relatively easy, like I said, I mean, people are gonna get mad at you, they're gonna shun you, they're gonna blah, 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 but nobody is gonna like kill you, nobody's gonna put you in jail.
So modern day classic or perfect examples: Bart Ehrlich, an apostate.
Who?
Bart Ehrlich.
You mean Airman?
Airman.
No. Is it Ehrman?
The-
I thought it was
the guy
Ehrlich.
who
Yeah, it's
writes-
Airman.
He's a biblical scholar.
Yeah, I thought it was Ehrlich. Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
it's Airman,
Ehrman.
yeah, it's
Okay.
Airman, yeah.
Shows how much I'm paying
He
attention.
goes back and forth, I don't understand him sometimes.
Yeah, you could call him an apostate.
I mean,
I
he
guess-
started out in a
You
religious.
can call
I mean,
it
he went to school as a fundamental and wanted to be all that, and then as he started reading, he said, and now he claims he's an atheist.
He claims he is, but sometimes he says he's an agnostic,
Right,
and then lately there's been a big fight over, like,
Jesus.
the
Right, his book on
reality of
Jesus.
Jesus.
But still,
yeah.
he did reject
Yeah.
fundamentally.
Well, now he's lately saying that, I think he's getting a little antsy about whether Jesus really did exist or not. He's saying that he's kind of willing to entertain
Really?
some of the other arguments. Now, he's not saying he believes it, but I guess he's not rejecting it. Well, one of my favorites, Richard Carrier, really takes him on about this issue in The Historicity of Jesus, which is a wonderful book, by the way. And speaking about secularism, Phil Zuckerman was at the temple, when was it, Norm, about,
That you
Norm
attended
didn't go.
a month ago.
A week ago.
At the Birmingham.
I mean,
No,
I'm
it was
sorry,
about-
a month
it
ago.
was about a month ago. He was at the Birmingham temple, and his latest book is Living the Secular Life, and he was absolutely terrific, and he had a lot of great.
Why don't you post some of this stuff to our meetup
You
or
know
something?
what? I found out 2 days before.
Not that but I mean, I
I
could have
found
gone
out
last Sunday.
Jim Wright posted it. He's part of the Sunday Assembly, and he posted
missed
it
it
on
that.
Facebook. And
All
I
I
think,
saw
when
was
did
they
I tell you,
changed the
Norm? I
music.
think I told you on Thursday.
Yeah.
And
See,
was
that's the
Friday.
problem. They have Facebook and Meetup.
Well,
And unless you're
I
following
had
both,
no
you
idea.
miss something.
I
and
actually
that-
called the temple to see if,
I'll try to let
we
you
were
know.
allowed
Well,
to
I mean,
come
it's
or
not
if we
your
had
job,
a
but I
reserve.
just-
I mean, there wasn't really any, I called the temple. and
And
they
you
said,
went to services.
well,
Shame on
that's a
you.
strange thing, I think that's why they didn't announce it.
I got off.
That it was, it was Shabbat services.
Shabbat.
It was a regular part of the service.
So when
that would have been
Jim and I mean, we've been at the temple for, like when Greta Christina was here and other speakers, but, that was under CFI, so, but this was like a service, but it was a great service. They had members,
Terrific.
they had
We're
members.
thinking of going back there all the time.
If you,
We're
so
not,
you're-
Jim's teasing.
You're like digging this church service stuff, so apostates when you leave a religion, now what do we call folks who leave atheism and go back to religion?
Stupid.
And how do we punish them?
Stupid, yeah.
And how do we punish
How do we
them?
punish them?
Beat him with the white noodle.
Well, actually, this issue is going on. I'm not going to say the name, but there's a well-known agnostic, a pretty much atheist philosopher who's, I've enjoyed his writings a great deal, and he's recently announced that he's like sick of all the new atheists, especially the younger generation, who I mean, admit that they have some rough edges, but, so he's announced, that, he's taken a new position as a philosophy professor at different schools, so big deal. But he's announced he's a Stoic. So, this is kind of this like the nuns, where you irrevocably part with the atheist community, really. Because he's saying, like, I really still don't believe, but, I don't want anything to do with you guys. So, like, I'm not a Stoic and everything. And, of course, it was, like, lit up Facebook, everybody was carrying on. But I asked a question because Stoicism, most Stoics believed in God, at least in the old days. There was a belief in a divine, they didn't think that God intervened or anything, but they thought that there was a divinity. So I asked the question, all these atheists that were carrying on and blah, 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 and yak, never answered. I put it up about 2 or 3 times. It's just like, well, I don't know they didn't even say that, but I guess they thought my question was irrelevant. But it isn't, because he says he's a Stoic, so now he's an atheist that's a Stoic. I mean, Foucault said he embraced Stoicism, and he said that the Christian aspect, or the God aspect was
Optional?
I think he said it was a protuberance or something, or, he said something about, it was, I don't have the right word. Can anybody think about the word? Excrescence, I think he said it was, which is kind of like a protuberance, yeah, so he just dismissed it. So I don't know if this guy is dismissing it or what. So I'm in the dark. If anybody finds out,
Well, that's hard
Let
to
me
do,
know.
because while they might know who you're talking about, I do not.
well, I mean, I don't want to see the name on camera, and I don't want to Jim have to cut, so.
What did you mean by the deathbed statements by atheists? I didn't
They wouldn't
understand.
accept them. Did you see my atheism in the law?
Well, I've heard the lecture, but what do you mean, the deathbed statements?
They felt that we were not necessarily, see, they would usually accept deathbed statements,
You're
like,
not defining your terms.
like,
What is a deathbed
Zeke
statement?
Bellow, like, is the guy that shot the gun off, and,
Oh,
you know.
an admission or a confession?
Right, yeah, or or an accusation.
Or an
It was
accusation.
Zeke that shot me, and I'm dying, And they wouldn't accept the atheists for a long time because we didn't believe in an afterlife or punishment, so therefore we might well be lying.
But that
Whereas
might be
the-
true even if
whereas-
you weren't dying, right?
Right. Well, if you were,
Just-
no, I'm dying,
A
but
life-bed
I mean, I'm
confession.
probably not I might not be telling the truth. Because I don't believe in an afterlife, I don't believe
Even
in
at
punishment
death.
by
Mhm.
God, and
Yeah.
so I could be lying at the,
not
with
gonna
my
be
dying
punished
breath.
by
But
God.
Christians wouldn't be doing that.
What about the life-bed confession where she says, not unless you're Christian? Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a song
Yeah.
about that.
But I mean, it's
These are really
terrible.
walking
We have our rights denied all the time. We're always in court.
I see.
How many fucking times are we in court? I mean,
Well, and you know about the 3 new bills they just entered into, the 3 about you have to be a clergy.
Oh, for the gay marriages.
Well, even straight people.
Yeah. I don't think that's gonna fly.
I hope
think
not,
it's
but
I believe it's
I'm pretty sure that's why I sent an email into
Yeah.
my thing that said this better not fly.
I do too. I
But,
think
you
it's
know,
gonna be considered unconstitutional.
It has to be, and even if it
Sounds like-
passes,
I
it'd be
don't even know
challenged
if the Supreme
instantly.
Court is going to rule for gay marriage,
Next
or they're
week.
gonna
Next
punt
week.
again.
It's gotta be.
We are getting off. Are we in our 20
Sorry.
minutes? No, I don't care. But
Thank you for mentioning it.
oops,
Yeah,
and I
because
just
there are
moved the
some of the
camera.
things I wanted to
Yeah,
cover,
show me.
if I
Oh,
could.
light
or-
gray cover and then we'll get back.
And we'll get back.
No, Jim, don't turn it off yet. I think
No, I'm not
we're-
gonna turn it off.
I just
I'm gonna go take a
jolted
look at it.
I'm
It
sorry.
just got joggled.
I don't
I
think there was
joggled it.
anything that was terribly irrelevant.
It just struck me when we were talking about people leaving the faith or joining the faith
Yeah.
or whatever, that it's like falling in and out of love
Yeah.
with faith.
Yeah,
And
Sorry,
it
Jim.
made me wonder about faith being cause or effect. Like, when you believe something as non-faithful person, it's because you came across some information.
Yeah.
Or some evidence. Or something happened and you learned at that moment. And so the same thing must be happening with faith. Like you come across some information and
You
your
have a
mind
vision.
changes. Because as humans, this is supposed to be how it goes, I don't know. As time goes on, you acquire more information and grow. And you're supposed to get wiser. Some of us backslide, but
yeah.
with that going on, how can you blame somebody at all for learning something new and looking at the world differently, whether that is moving towards faith or away from it? I mean, so to punish somebody because they continue to grow and become, it's almost like faith says, stop. You're there,
That's the point.
don't
Totally.
develop any
That's the
further.
point.
Well, that's right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Because you know,
There's
You
a
don't need to
problem.
grow. God has
There's a-
told
there's
you
a
exactly
problem with
everything you need to know.
Yeah, that's it. There's a problem with it because how do you maintain your church if you allow people to do that?
To leave.
Right.
or
So
even,
don't let them
or
marry
even
people.
change the
There'll be a
idea.
minister and his
There's
wife,
no
and that'll
truth
be it.
anymore.
Well, that's why we have splinter churches.
Yeah,
Like crazy.
yeah, it's insane. It's just insane.
Which you think would be part of the reason the religion would fall apart, but it doesn't seem to be helping.
No, they just like form little splinter groups and go on and believe what they
Gotta
believe.
stop.
Norm, what else did you have?
Well, I mean, if you compare it to cults, a cult makes it very difficult to leave, both
Yeah.
physically,
Yeah.
even just leaving the place.
Yeah,
And then psychologically, of course,
Yeah.
because they've got you so embedded in the entire
Yeah.
life of that. Compare that to an older religion like Christianity, where now it's relatively pretty easy to leave.
but I mean, still, I mean, there's pressure.
So what would they label those Mormon boys in the pluralistic, the subsects where they still had plural marriages? Remember those where they were kicking all the boys out because they were competition for the
Oh,
multiple?
yeah,
What
yeah,
would
I
you
do
label
remember
them?
that.
They did not reject their religion. They were rejected by their religion.
That's
So
a
they're not
different
heretics.
story.
They're not
No, they're not
apostates. I'm
apostates.
just asking, what are they
I
labeled?
have no
Virgins.
idea.
Horny.
Horny young
They're
men.
not apostates,
I
they're
haven't heard about this,
apostates.
though. Is this,
I did hear about
why would
that.
they
Oh,
do-
it's quite white. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
well, you know
Kicked out.
which sex. You know that there's the subsects that are still practicing plural marriages and all that. I can't. Who was that guy that
Yeah,
just was
polygamy.
arrested?
Mm.
Oh, yeah,
Polygamy.
sorry. I
Yeah,
can't
polygamy.
remember
But there was
Jeff's.
yeah,
Yes, yeah.
him. So whoever he
Yeah.
was. Anyways, part of what he was doing, and it still goes on in these little subcults that are out there, compounds and families, is the young boys when they reach a certain age. There's too much competition for the girls. They're getting kicked out.
They kick them
On
out.
what pretense?
None.
None?
They don't
The
care.
older guys
Go.
just decide.
They just
You
decide.
three.
They have no skills, no education.
Yeah.
Remember, they've grown up in this tiny.
Yeah.
They did not reject their religion. They were rejected by, just kicked out. Yeah, it's you could look it up on
Yeah, it's a very
easily online.
strange
There's
thing.
several stories. In fact, there's in Utah. It's one of the bigger problems and charitable things that they're trying to help these boys because they're either turning to crime or a lot of them are committing suicide because they have no skills, no nothing, and they don't know how to function outside of and they've been
Well, it must
totally.
be very frightening to be
Of course
just
it
kicked
is.
out of this.
But I just
Okay,
want, I
yeah.
mean, that wasn't, I just wondered what is it
Yeah.
when, we know what heresy is, we know what apostasy is, we've made those distinctions. What is it when a religion chooses to kick you out for no reason other than it was you were inconvenient?
They have a justification for it though.
Yeah,
They
that's
must
probably
have a
right.
Big belief that they're moving more and more towards a pure population.
So they
And
must
so they're
be
kind of tagging
making
these
up a
kids
reason?
as somehow.
Oh, they must have, I'm sure they have a good reason.
Well, I'm not, but
It's a
I'm just wondering what the
I mean, they
name
made
for
up
that.
a good
Okay, but
reason.
what's the name? There has to be a
I have
name.
no
If
idea.
you've got a
Yes, I'm
situation,
sure they
you've got a
do.
definition, you need a name for it.
Maybe
If not, we'll
potential
make one up.
heretic.
Right. save, you're gonna try to grab
But
one of the
What did you
girls.
say, a manufactured heretic?
Yeah, why not? I mean,
These
Just
boys
sort of-
well, the
may form
Catholic
another
Church
cult,
did that.
right?
Who knows?
They could
Yeah.
end up being competition ultimately, was what these Mormons should worry about, is that these are now gonna be another set of competition
Yeah,
If they were collective.
that you wouldn't wanna kick out angry young men
yeah.
Yeah.
from, and they're gonna come back at you somehow.
But I don't think that
I
they
don't
do.
think they
It
do.
sounds like they're pretty, like,
They're
Because
called the
they're not
Lost
collective.
Boys.
the Lost Boys.
They've been excommunicated or pressured to leave polygamous Mormon sex.
Yeah.
That's what the Lost Boys mean?
Well, no, there's also
But-
the Lost Boys of Sudan. That's a whole. I mean, I think they apply it to,
Okay.
but yeah. So
Yeah, I
they
didn't
just
know that
generally
they
call
called
Lost
them
Boys.
anything, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, no, they're not
They must.
apostates.
No, I just
So,
wondered what the
uh,
name is.
did you
but we
have
don't
anything
know.
more?
There is
One more thing I wanted to say, did you come across any attempts to reclaim the name apostate in the same way that queer has been reclaimed?
No, because it's a negative. If you
But-
remember when I was reading,
Well, I understand it's a negative.
sociologists say that
But-
very few people self-define themselves
But
as
couldn't
that.
you see that maybe even among atheists, claiming that term as like a positive, say, I'm an apostate?
Don't we
and I'm
usually
proud.
say we're heretics though, if we do that?
Well,
No,
we're
I
not
thought you
heretics.
told us in our lecture of heretics that we are not
We're not
heretics.
Well, we're not, but I mean, sometimes atheists call themselves heretics.
Which
Yeah,
is wrong.
But I could
Which is
see my-
wrong.
It's
yeah,
wrong.
I learned that from you.
No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
No,
I
you're
could see
right.
myself
No, I'm
calling
just
it-
saying that the self-designation, sometimes atheists, they'll wear T-shirts that say heretics.
Heretic, I
or
could
what
see
have you.
wearing,
That they are wrong, but they
Because the
they like
heretic
wearing.
behind it,
But I haven't seen them wearing apostate, have you?
no.
No.
but I'd like to, I mean, I
I
think
would
it's.
too.
it'd
It
a
would be
great-
funny,
a great
actually.
development.
Actually, it would be more accurate.
That would just be a posturing.
But
It
that's
would be
part
more
of
accurate
marketing,
to say
yeah.
apostate.
Yeah, and say,
Yeah.
I'm in your face, I'm an
Take your
apostate.
T-shirt and say apostate.
What are you
Yeah,
gonna
but
do
they
about
don't. They usually have
Well, then-
heretic.
That
do
designation
they have on
says there's
there?
somewhere there's religion behind that.
Well, according to these definitions I was saying earlier, you could easily make T-shirts that say, "Yes, I'm an apostate because I don't hate gay people." I mean, they fine. You could have all
Well,
sorts.
that's just
Let's
silly.
make $1 million. No,
That's
it's not
just
silly
silly.
when you can make money.
Well, yeah, when you can make money, but you
What if you
know.
just put it like a definition, like you say apostasy : the cure?
Ah, that's a
cure.
good one too.
Yeah, and then most people wouldn't know what the hell you're talking about anyhow, but maybe they go look it up.
Yeah.
There was
Goddamn
one.
That's funny.
One last thing I had, you mentioned human rights. Someone has defined human rights as the ability to move away from religion or towards religion or have freedom of religion.
Right,
Is that
the
the
United
UN you said?
Nations,
Okay.
yeah.
The
United
Oh,
Nations
which
Commission.
among the Islamic nations signed that document?
Probably none.
I don't think that they signed those.
So,
Those are
They've
proclamations.
been trying very
Yeah, to
hard
say
to
that
put
is-
in all
it's like-
kinds of things about,
all they're
Um,
saying is what
yeah, right, their rights to, like not, not, they want to, what do they say? I had it,
They want to make blasphemy a crime,
a crime, yeah,
They-
and they've been,
the commission itself.
they've been defeated several times, but,
So that
yeah,
document
they don't
though
want,
is a
they don't want
decidedly-
criticism of religion.
But
it's
you know,
a Western
actually,
document, it's not,
That's what they would say.
that's what I was just gonna say. And if you, the last book on the thing, one of the things they talked about is, the individualism of the West versus the family group. I shouldn't say
Sure.
necessarily family, but
Clan.
group-centered focus of the clan, the tribe, the group. So they would see this whole concept of human rights and individual rights to be threatening to their concept of what's best for the group, the clan.
Yeah, I don't think
tribe.
that they have much of a concept of individual rights.
No, but so I think that's a little different though. I don't doubt that some of it's to fight for their own, but part of their identity is their
Sure.
religion. So of course they're
Sure.
they don't see even the reason for this human rights things
They
because
don't even see the reason for separation.
women's role is to do this. That's what benefits the tribe. That's what
Yeah.
benefits our group. That's
Well,
how
they
we
don't
see
see
it.
they don't see the separation of church and state. being-
All of those
yeah.
things.
No,
So I mean, we're
that doesn't
forcing
exist.
Western values
Yeah.
on the entire world, which is a
It's
whole
true.
other conversation.
it's true, and I've come to wonder myself, if total freedom was there, and we did vote on say everything instead of having a republic, we really had a democracy, how many times would you say, yes, I wanna pay that tax.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I mean, our whole country would
Well,
just crumble.
Sometimes I
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
question
said
is,
that.
do we think we know?